Okay, folks, welcome to today's edition of Notre Dame Daily, brought to you by Fan Arch. I'm Pete Mulroy, and I open today with some major news in the kicking department. With only Eric Schmidt on the roster as someone with in-game kicking experience ahead of next season, it was a no-brainer that Marty Biaggi and Marcus Freeman were going to be targeting a solid veteran on the open market. Enter Spencer Porath, the former Purdue special teamer who spent the past 2 seasons with the Boilers, committed to Notre Dame on Tuesday, giving the Irish exactly what they needed. And when you look at the numbers for Porath, his addition makes loads of sense. And not just simply because the Irish needed a plain old kicker. They weren't doing that. They were being very matter-of-fact with their plan to go get someone in who could not just compete, but win the job and produce consistently. During his freshman year in West Lafayette, Porath was a decent 7 for 11 in field goals, but 0 for 3 from the 30 to 39-yard range. This past season, however, he cleaned up those numbers across the board. 15 of 17 overall on field goals, including 4 of 5 from 40 to 49, 2 of 3 from 50 plus. He became one of the top kickers in the Big Ten. He also improved his mid-range numbers from that freshman campaign, where he was 0 for 3 from 30 to 39. This past season, nailed each of the 3 kicks he attempted from those distances. And all Big Ten honorable mention this past season, he arrives in South Bend with a prime opportunity to become even better than he was in West Lafayette. The Irish kicking game, as we know, was nothing short of a dumpster fire last season. And while Schmidt is certainly going to be given the opportunity to compete, having a talent like Porath should help the program breathe a collective sigh of relief given the struggles from the entire unit minus the punting game. While Noah Burnett, largely due to injury, didn't work out as a portal kicker last season, the Irish have had various degrees of success with special teams on the open market. Most notably, of course, Mitch Jeter, who helped send Notre Dame to the title game a season ago. This is another massive get for Freeman and company. And when you think about it, it really could not have come at a better time. Another home run for the Irish came with the landing of former Ohio State wideout Mylan Graham, a 4-star and top 60 recruit out of high school. Graham was a big get for the Buckeyes, so much so that even after he hit the portal, Ryan Day's side was working diligently to keep him in Columbus. As we now know, that did not happen. Graham joins Quincy Porter, who's our transfer player of the day. I'll talk about him more momentarily. As former players going from the shoe to the dome. In 9 games this past season, the 6'1", 200-pounder caught 6 balls for 93 yards. And again, working behind, like Porter, a loaded depth chart that features future first-round draft pick Jeremiah Smith, and soon-to-be first-round draft pick, you would think, in this upcoming April draft, in Carnell Tate. Now, growing up in Fort Wayne, Graham is certainly no stranger to a South Bend community he's now going to be a part of. The continued adding here of impactful receivers for the Notre Dame staff has been fun to watch. Graham's going to be a big part of that. And Marcus Freeman has just added beyond promising talent via traditional high school recruiting and the portal. The focus for the Irish, as we know, under Freeman, is always going to be building a team through high school avenues. That being said, the Domers have done a great job setting the room and roster up for immediate and continued success. Check another box here in the victory column for Notre Dame with this one. This is another great get with remarkable talent coming in. Yeah, it's the definition here with Graham of a job well done. Another major one, we talked about this when it happened Monday, was former Bergen Catholic high star Quincy Porter. Heads to South Bend now, looking for an increased role after 1 season in Columbus. And again, given the fact that loaded depth chart, Smith, Tate, he needed to find his own way. The kid was a 5-star coming out of high school in his own right. He's got the perfect opportunity now to become the lead dog for a wide receiver room that has loads of talent, yes, but could absolutely use that clear-cut number 1 alpha. Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison, they create matchup nightmares for the opposition when they're right, but adding a player with the overall skill set. And what do I mean by that? He's got the speed, height, hands, and vision of Porter makes the entire unit exponentially more lethal. 6'4", 210. He's also, and this is fun but significant for the future of the program, just from an ascension perspective, he groups in with a couple more Jersey natives on the offensive side of the ball. Elijah Burris, Nolan James Jr. played against them in high school, and that creates an even more salivating crop of future ballers in South Bend, who many of which just happen to come from the state of New Jersey. This is a young man who caught 4 balls for 59 yards last season. Given his incredible abilities, a Heisman favorite quarterback in C.J. Carr throwing him the football, and a great ensemble of playmakers all around him in the backfield, at tight end, up front protecting, and on the outside, I would expect those numbers to greatly and significantly increase next season. So you've got a good haul here. Everybody was freaking out about the quiet opening week of the portal, and boom. Look what happens to start the second week. You remember last year, Malachi Fields was a late addition via the portal. It happens, and look what Notre Dame has turned this into. Just, yes, these guys are uber talented, but they're filling positions where you needed them to come in and not just provide depth, but be impactful guys. You're bringing in players who can play right away and serve a massive purpose, from protection up front, from aiding on the outside, defensive pressure, especially with a new defensive line coach in Charlie Partridge. This has been great. And oh, by the way, you bring in a guy who you expect to be your starting kicker. Now, I do just want to end today a little generic news from the world of college football as a whole. This week, college football coaches voted across the board to change eligibility rules concerning redshirts. As of this season, a player was able to redshirt if he appeared in 4 or less games in a season. That number has now increased to 9, and it makes sense. Given the widespread changes across the landscape of college football with the transfer portal, programs lead toward getting their more impactful players, including stud freshmen, on the field as soon as possible. The hope now for coaches is that this rule change keeps players involved with the program, which in turn would lower or at least greatly limit those mid-season departures that have become more common. It should also combat the idea of players playing the 4 games and then saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm sitting out the rest of the season in order to transfer. Overall, I think it's a solid update to the redshirt arena, because I think we all agree many aspects of NIL, specifically the portal, have gotten out of hand. I ultimately think there will be ways this all eventually gets reeled in. Perhaps this refreshed redshirt rule is one step in that direction. So we'll see. I think it makes sense, and I think it does open the door to saying, all right, let's stick around here. Let's stay in one place the way it was intended to be, at least without all of the chaos and change after change after change. So we'll see what happens. With that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Marcus Freeman held a press conference. I'm going to get into that tomorrow. All good things. But I will break that down and share some stuff about that, my thoughts as well, with you tomorrow to end the week. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll see you then. And as always, go Irish.